All right, so Ian has a problem. He has a customer that destroyed their database and has no backup of the config, and they need to grab a running config from the thin client so that they can have maybe have some business continuity while they rebuild their world. So I'm going to use this as an example here. So this device has the VMware Horizon, which is configured via profile, and these two sessions that are configured locally on the device by double-clicking and editing the config. If they only configure the device via profile, it might be a little bit easier to do this. But so for all intents and purposes, what I'm going to do is so this is the UMS that we're in here. I'm going to take this UMS and disconnect it from the network. And then I have another UMS here that is on a different network, and we're going to move the thin client over and bring it in and make a profile, and hopefully everything will still work. So the first thing that we need to do is get on the device somehow. If they don't have the password to get on the device any longer, they're kind of screwed, but hopefully they do. And we want to take the setup.ini and group.ini files, which are setup.ini being the configuration local on the device, and group.ini being the configuration applied via profile, and we want to merge them together. So you can take them, you can do it here in VI if you want. That would be my preferred method, but I think it'll be a little easier to show outside of VI. So I'm gonna, however you want to get them off of the device, that's your choice. Since this is a virtual machine, actually I need to create a folder first. It's kind of not really cheating, but it's kind of nice to do something like this. So I can copy group.ini and setup.ini to exchange temp udc config, and then I can go down here to my terminal and type gedit group.ini and setup.ini, and now I have my two files. So setup.ini being smaller, but if you notice here in my setup.ini, I do have some sessions. So I have my xterm, and there's a remote manager config here, and you may want to change the IP of this if you know what the new IP is. As a matter of fact, why don't we take a look here, and it is 69.254, so we'll fix that while we're here, but it doesn't really matter. You can fix that via the new UMS when you get it configured. So I'm going to take the smaller file and merge it into the larger one. That's a little bit easier. So how do we do that? Well, each section has a start and an end. So I know that there is an X section in here somewhere, probably near the top, right? So I'm going to take this piece out, and I'm going to put it here in this section. And you don't want to put it in the middle of another, they call this a stanza. You don't want to put it in the middle of another stanza. You want it to be standalone. It's kind of self-explanatory, but maybe not. So I think there is also a system remote manager in the other one, so I'm only going to take this part. I might be wrong, but let's take a look here. Let's go find system. Here's system. And yeah, there's a remote manager section here, so we'll put this one in this piece. And what did I say? It was 69.254. And then the biggest thing, of course, are the sessions, right? Because well, you'll see here in a minute. So we'll cut that out, and we'll go find our sessions, which I think are down here somewhere. And we should be able to just put this at the top. I don't think there's any other WinConnect or xterm down here. And you may need to do a little bit of looking around, but all right, so we have our merged file. So we now have group ini. We don't care about setup.ini. We can close that without saving. So our group ini now has everything in it. All right, great. So let's go back over here, and let's go back to our thin client, which still has this mounted. Of course, you may have to do something a little different, and I'm going to copy exchange temp udc config group.ini to WFS setup.ini. So basically what we want is we want setup.ini, or the local config on the thin client, to have everything in it that we need. Perfect. So we now have a group ini that has a bunch of crap in it and a setup.ini that has a bunch of crap in it. So we can remove group.ini and we can reboot the device. Now keep in mind the device is still not connected to any, it's connected to a network that doesn't have a management server. For some strange reason, when you reboot, the group.ini will be back. You can remove it again. There is another way that we can do this, but this is probably the easiest. Just reboot it and be done with it. So it'll come up, it's looking for the management server. Of course, it's not there. And we wait. Right. Open up a terminal. And part of the reason that it's still looking for it is we changed the IP address to a different LAN segment that doesn't exist. Had we left it alone, it likely would have happened a little bit more quickly, but it doesn't matter. All right. So group ini is there, and if you take a look at it, oh, it's empty. That's strange. Okay. Well, I wonder why that is. Well, anyway, so in my previous test, it always was full again, so I don't know what the deal is. But anyway, reboot it, check it out, make sure it's empty. You take a look, setup.ini has everything we want, and if we look, the configuration looks correct. Excellent. So now let's take this thin client and plug it into our other network that has our new UMS on it. And when it gets done here, let's go ahead and reboot it while we're there. So now what will happen is it'll come up, and this UMS is not set to auto register, which you don't want if you're trying to grab this config from it. All right, so everything still looks good here. Let's make sure that it doesn't do anything strange. All right, excellent. So now we can go over to the management server and we can scan for it. Now, if you scan for it, by default, it won't push any settings out to the device. So let's scan for it. I have some default directory rules. Oh, let's go back to the device and remove our certificate. That's the last piece. So if we remove server.crt, scan for the device, grab the device and let's put it in thin clients. It says OK. And now let's go up here and create a profile from it. All right. Okay. Grab the thin client itself. Say OK. And you'll see we should have everything in here. We have the RDP session. We have the terminal. We should have everything we need. So we're going to save it. We're going to take this device and reset it to defaults. Oh. Alright. Convince the device is reset to defaults. Maybe. Alright. Alright, so now let's scan for it. Bring it under management, put it in thin clients again. Let's put the profile on it. Let's say now, and let's watch. So it should error out here with the wallpaper because, of course, the wallpaper doesn't exist on this management server. So you may need to go in and make a few changes to the profile, but there we go. We have our configuration back. So that's one way. There are a couple other ways to do this as well, but that's one way to salvage a configuration from an orphaned thin client. If there isn't anything locally configured on the device, you can just copy the group.ini over setup.ini, remove group.ini, and do the same kind of process. But really the right way to do it is to merge them together. But I hope it's helpful, and yeah, happy IGELing.